Hi, good evening, and welcome to the Tuesday, December 13th, 2022 School Committee meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and I just want to say that I'll be leading the meeting tonight. My name's Amy Lehman. I'm the vice chair. Our chair, Tom Markham, can't be with us tonight, so we all shifted chairs. Mr. Ingles will be doing the motions, and Dr. Lyons is joining us on Zoom, as well as Ms. Bufagner. So Assistant Superintendent Kara Morrow is sitting next to me. We're going to start every meeting like we always do with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to read the mission statement. The vision of the Wakefield Public Schools is to graduate students who are confident, lifelong learners, who are respectful and caring members of their community. Our mission is to prepare students for college, career, and community by providing rich and challenging curriculum, high-quality instruction, and educational experience that meet their individual needs and interests. Next up is the public comment. Is there anyone here who would like to speak at public comment? Or is there anyone on Zoom? Oh, yeah, come on up. Have a seat. If you could just state your name and your address.
My name is Ahmed Ahmed, and I live at 10 Blue Circle.
Okay, welcome.
So I'm liaison to the school committee of the youth council, and I just thought as liaison that I should come in and just give a quick update to the school committee about what the youth council has been doing recently. So for those of you who don't know, the youth council is a group of middle schoolers and 9th through 12th graders who really just take initiative and try to better the Wakefield community through many different projects. Some of our most recent ones was the Snow Angel initiative, where people could sign up to shovel elderly people's driveways. And the Veterans Day cleanup, which was one of our biggest events last year, which we did still have a decent turnout to this year, where we would clean up the commons and the Wakefield public areas, and an anonymous donor would donate to a veterans fund, depending on how much trash we picked up. We also have a project currently going on to try to get women's feminine products in public places. I think our main target currently is the library, but we're still trying to see how that will play out. And we also did have a table at Town Day, and it was a really good opportunity for people of all ages in the town to come and just to get to know the youth council better. We were really surprised with the amount of young people that showed up. We had like 3rd graders and 2nd graders come asking questions about the youth council, which is really good to see the young people getting involved. And we also are currently working with Safe Streets and with the new high school forums, and we've been sending representatives to them just to be able to get information from the meetings and have those representatives report back to the high school, report back to the youth council. Personally, I've been to a couple of the high school forum meetings, and I've just been updating the youth council about how the new high school is going on, like what debates is surrounding it, and other information that's related. And one of our more recent initiatives is potentially getting a Malden Youth Council involved, because Wakefield Youth Council is known across Massachusetts as being one of the strongest, and towns have now started reaching out to us, asking to help them set up other youth councils, which is really good, meaning that we've made an impact not only in Wakefield, but in other towns as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? Anyone on Zoom? Seeing none, we have a student advisory council update. No, is there one or two?
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Vanessa here for the update.
Okay, thank you.
So I'll start us off. We're about halfway through term 2, which ends on January 20th. For other school news and timely happenings, last Thursday and Friday, the high school had a visiting accreditation team come to the school from NEAS. They visited classrooms and met with students, teachers, administrators, parents, and community members. They also learned more about the areas the school has identified as areas of growth. The committee will put all of their findings into a report that will be shared in February. Overall, the committee was really happy with what they saw at Wakefield High, and everyone did a great job making them feel welcomed at our school. Lastly, the school is once again participating in the Wonderland door decorating contest sponsored by the National Art Honor Society. Teachers and offices will be decorating their doors by this Friday, and then judging will begin next week. And Molly has the rest of our announcements.
Yeah, so the other news, we have some exciting news from our music department. So over 700 music students from the Northeast Massachusetts area auditioned for the Senior District Festival recently, and this year 10 Wakefield High School students were selected to participate in the Northeast Senior District Music Festival, and 5 students received scores high enough to qualify them for the All-State Music Festival. And we just like to quickly shout out those students and what they auditioned for. So accepted into the Senior District Festival, we have Haley Aloco for chorus, Samantha Bordonaro, sorry if I'm messing that up, for chorus, Serena Lowe for band, Karen Nishino for orchestra, and Zakiya Savan for orchestra. And then accepted with all-state recommendation was Samuel Carpenter for band, Nadia Collins for chorus, Michaela Lyons for chorus, Paige McGibbon for chorus, and Morgan Wallace for chorus. So we are very proud of our music department and those students. And that is all the updates we have for this week.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions for the Student Advisory Council? No? Oh, yeah, Mr. Ingles.
Are there any favorites for the door decorating contest?
Science.
Okay, all right.
Miss Cameron's door for physics is gonna win.
Find out in January, all right.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
We have a consent agenda. Do you have a motion?
I do. Move that the school committee approve the minutes of the November 29th, 2022 school committee meeting and accept the minutes of the December 5th, 2022 school committee student services subcommittee meeting and the minutes of the December 8th, 2022 school committee finance and facilities subcommittee meeting as presented.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? No? All in favor? All opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. We have budget items. Ms. Bufagna?
Hi.
Hi.
Everyone here? Okay.
Yes.
I just will start by central office is also decorating the door to our office. We started today. I'll go to come by and see the office. We're in the running as well.
Is that according to you or according to everybody else?
So tonight you have the financial reports through November 30th. They are in line with, it's showing an available balance after encumbrances of 9.63% available. A couple lines, the AIDS line is slightly over, only for encumbrances, because what we're going to do, we are going to do a transfer to the ESSER 3 account. As you remember, we put some paraprofessionals on that grant. So those transfers will become later in the year. We're also spending down our grants. You can see the balances are still slightly right over $1 million at this point. But the biggest one is the ESSER 3, which we still have until 2024 to spend down. And the last page is the revolving accounts, which you'll see have come down a little bit from spending for the school year, school lunch. We've had some expenditures for that program as well. And we did get our first circuit breaker reimbursement of $421,000. So overall, we're healthy for the year, but we're almost at the halfway point. I'll be pausing if anyone has any questions.
No one has questions.
Okay. The next thing is the payrolls for November. There's 2 payrolls. We have a motion.
We do. Sorry, I was looking at budget. Move that the school committee approve payroll warrants number 20 and number 22 as presented.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? No? All in favor? All opposed? Passes unanimously.
Amy, I had one question.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, we have a question.
Christine, did you want to talk about the budget now, or was Doug going to talk about that later? The budget process,
The budget for '24?
right?
Yeah, we can talk about that. So, we have in our subcommittee meeting has been talking about the planning for that and our timeline. We've been discussing what that looks like. We had, some members of FinCom attend our meeting, on the 8th. We had a pretty good discussion about what, our topics and our goals will be looking like. So I know for the next couple of months when we come back from break, over the holidays, we'll be diving right in. But what we're doing right now is putting our packets together of actual expenditures for 2 years, along with some projections of this year and next year to give to the principals. So Doug and I, we do a sort of a road show. We go to the schools. We have some Zoom calls with community members and from faculty and staff for each school. And we really kind of get a sense of what is the priorities by school and by grade level. So, as you know, we settled 6 contracts last year, so that makes the forecasting a little bit easier. So we just are focusing on year-to-date negotiations, which is also starting pretty soon. So
Great.
there's gonna be a lot of work ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christine.
Of course.
I do not have any comments from Chair Markham, so, Dr. Lyons, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Amy. I'd like to say thank you to Vanessa and Molly, students who spoke earlier. Much appreciated. In terms of comments and updates, I'm going to leave those to the end. I'd like to invite Brendan up to the table to talk a little bit about how we're going to recognize our fall athletes.
Yeah, so I actually was going to bring some of them in today, but we actually have a bunch of athletic events going on right now as we speak. Some of them are actually playing in those games right now. Last night we had at town council meeting our football captains, cross country captains, and dance captains in to recognize them at town council. All 3 had amazing seasons. As everyone knows, football team went undefeated this year. They won the state championship Super Bowl in Gillette Stadium. I talked about last night, it was just an amazing experience, not just for the football team, but for all of our students. I'm actually planning on writing a letter to the Craft Productions company this week because they made it just so inclusive for all of our groups. So not just the football team, but the dance team got to perform on the field, the cheer team got to perform on the field, the band got to perform. And the thing that I thought was one of the coolest things was our TV production students got to broadcast the game from the Patriots Media Center, which was like just totally awesome. So they just did a great job of making it all inclusive of so many different student groups. And it wasn't just the fact that we played in the stadium. They had the Jumbotron going, they had the instant replays, the stats popping up. The kids were like, this is amazing. It's like an NFL game. So it was just a really awesome experience for all of our kids. And then, of course, our cross-country team won back-to-back all-state titles, first time in school history. Prior to last year, the last time they had won an all-state title was 1972. So to do it back-to-back is just absolutely amazing. I can't say enough good things about Barry Pappas. He's just unbelievable coach and does an unbelievable job with all the kids on the team. And then our dance team, I feel like with all the recognition all the other teams are getting, somehow kind of flying under the radar, they came in second at states this year. And believe it or not, this is actually the 3rd year in a row they were state finalists. So back-to-back-to-back state finalists. So just overall, just an awesome fall season. We're hoping to carry it over into the winter season. I know Doug talked about celebrating some of our teams. I do have some things in the works with some of our coaches for some of those teams that I don't want to publicly say because some of those things are surprises. But we hope to do some more throughout the course of the winter to maybe possibly, I talked to Doug earlier about maybe doing like one of our home basketball games, a recognition night. But I'm just incredibly proud of all of our kids and just an awesome fall. So, yeah.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
Nope, great job.
No?
A lot of fun.
Can you just
Oh, yeah.
please, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you just please tell the coaches, I mean, I coached cross country and track for years, and
Yeah.
a lot of people don't understand that if you win a divisional title, like Division
Yes.
3, that's an accomplishment all
Yeah.
in itself. But to win an all-state title,
Yeah.
you are going against all
The best of the best.
What are those? Yeah, it's so to win not just one but two straight
Yeah.
all-state titles is just an unbelievable accomplishment. Obviously, this with the Super Bowl win.
Yeah.
But please tell the coaches that
Yes.
their hard work is appreciated.
Yep.
And definitely tell the captains and
Yeah.
all the team members.
Absolutely.
It's
And-
because, you know, obviously, I mean, academics is number one, but when you look at all the extracurricular
Yeah.
accomplishments, so like look at the music program, the dance program, I think that, and I know there's like in the news, there's a lot of accolades there, but this doesn't happen every
No.
year. And this might not happen for another 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
So I think we really should enjoy it, embrace it, and please everyone know that.
Yeah.
That we're super proud.
Absolutely, and I mentioned that to some of our kids. Like this is not normal. Like this doesn't. Like it really does not happen. Like
Yeah.
most schools. So, you know, these are moments that these kids will never forget, and it's just amazing. So. Yeah.
I think the
Yeah.
only other thing that I would add from there, because I agree, you know, with what Mr. Fontanella was saying. Academics obviously
Yeah.
is really important, but the extracurricular is so critical. And just thinking
Yeah.
about all those teams, how many students that involves,
Yeah.
and a great appreciation for those that are involved. And it's been neat as an alum, kind of seeing friends or old classmates. I don't know if you had that experience too. That some of them chose to move away. I don't know why, but they did. And they've like found themselves in other communities, but they were following along,
Yeah.
along with all these teams that you're talking about. So it was
Yeah.
neat to kind of watch that as well, because there's something special about your hometown.
Yeah.
We know because we stayed, but to watch them, kind of relive and feel a pride for where they
Yeah.
came from, et cetera, was awesome. So it was very cool to kind of watch from afar.
I remember watching them win in '99, and then my niece was there this time.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
she was the same age as I was, in '99. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Reliving it all again.
And the other really great thing about the success of the extracurricular activities is it opens up a lot of doors for our students too. So just the past week and a half since we've won the Super Bowl, all of a sudden we have all these college coaches calling the school like, "Oh, you guys won the state championship. Can I talk to this student or that student?" And some of these coaches are from extremely highly regarded academic colleges and universities, which is tremendous, opening up opportunities for our students to potentially get in some really great schools because of the success of their teams. So,
That's awesome.
yeah,
That's incredible.
so all good stuff. Yes.
Stephen, did you have a question? I know.
I don't, those words were fantastic. I was just going to say, like, the student athlete, the student sort of musician, it just goes to all of the extracurriculars and what they're doing, like, sort of in the classroom, on the field, the extra time that it requires, the dedication beyond just the talent. Like, you have to have drive.
Yeah.
And knowing that the coaches are there to cultivate it. And there are challenges. There are challenges every day. And knowing that you and your staff are there for the students. They wouldn't be able to compete at that level if it wasn't for the supports that are given. So just accolades all around.
Thank you.
Just amazing work.
Thank you.
And I hope everyone knows sort of how special it is and
Yeah.
that everyone across the spectrum should be proud.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Hopefully we see you again in the winter.
Yes, yes. Now the pressure's on the winter sports teams.
Yeah.
Well, I will say I just came out of the basketball game and they were up by like 30-something points, so off to a good start.
No pressure.
Yes. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
It's always
you.
great to be
Very
here.
much. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brendan. So I will be sure to invite school committee, when Brendan and I plan, and Tom Bankert plan our recognition for, the fall athletes for dance, cheer, and certainly for the band as well. Kevin, Fontanella, thank you for your words about, track and cross country as well. Perry Pappas has been, kind of a magical coach for us for fall athletics for cross country, and that he has created an amazing culture on the team where, and the numbers have just exploded in terms of the students participating. But it's been a remarkable, group of students, where the older students have taken the younger students under their wings and have really created an amazing space for kids. But cross country has been an exceptional space for us in the fall. And also last week couldn't have been more fun for the spectators at Gillette Stadium to watch the students on the field watching themselves on the Jumbotron, and just kind of in awe of the whole process. So it's quite a special time for Wakefield athletics, Wakefield extracurricular, including band and music. We're really doing some special stuff in those spaces. And special recognition should also go to Tom Bankert and to Brendan Kent, who also kind of coordinate all of this as well. So it's really just a great fall and a great time, to be an athlete and to be involved in any number of extracurriculars at Wakefield. So thank you for your questions and comments there. Next, I'd like to invite Matt Carter up to the table to talk a little bit about what's happening at Woodville. And I think there's a slide deck there as well.
Yeah, there is.
Cole, do you want to sit here? Okay.
No, we can't see the little one in the back.
Why don't you come sit over next to me that way? People can see.
I'm guessing somebody's happy about the Argentina win today?
So thank you for inviting us here tonight. Really appreciate the invite whenever we can come here and speak about anything wonderful happening at our school. I'm always going to take that opportunity to do that. I'm joined here tonight by a wonderful group of families, so Woodville families and a couple of Woodville students. So here with me tonight, I have second grader Elvira Mishra. I have her mother, Coel Mishra. I have Entella Prifty, who's a parent with 2 children in the school, Elliot and Emma. I have a 4th grader, Nicholas Gold. And then I have Myra Sessions, parent of 2 other Woodville students, Calvin and Audrey. And some of you may know Myra. So I...
Do you know her, Mr. Ingles?
Yes, familiar? All right. So this group here was really the thought, like the brains behind like the whole We Are Woodville recognition evening that we recently had. So instead of it being kind of myself bringing this information to you, I really thought it's important to bring kind of the think tank or the group here so that they can kind of express that pride themselves. It was a fantastic evening for us, a great celebration of kind of who we are, our core values, and just celebrating kind of everything that makes us unique and wonderful. So I am going to turn it over to them and really let them drive the conversation here. But like I said, a wonderful group. We'll start with Antella, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. I thought it would be easier, but now that I'm in front of everyone, and then to think that I'm a former journalist and then seeing all the cameras here is amazing, very emotional. So, I was born and raised in Albania, which is a small European country. And since I moved here 14 years ago, I worked very hard to have a good English. I still do mistakes. I still work hard, is a work in progress. But something that I never tried to change is my accent. The reason why is because I strongly believe that my accent is is a passport to my culture, to my tradition, to my roots, where I come from. I can't wait when I have that first conversation with someone. I can't wait for that question where they ask me, where is your accent from? So that is the moment where I can't wait to start and tell them where I'm coming from, what my country is, and then I invite them to go to my country. So when I first heard for this beautiful project, it was in one of those amazing newsletters that Met and School PTO they release weekly, and then I envisioned that right away. I'm like, this is my call. I know right away what I'm gonna present here. I'm gonna present Albania, and I'm gonna present the way how I want to be presented. So I was in touch with the organizing committee, and then I expressed my idea, my vision, how this is gonna be, and they were very happy about it. So we start working, and we had meetings together, and then I was so happy, and I was emotional as well to see that it was coming to a reality as well. So we put up, I was hoping to bring that with me, but I didn't, this is my first time here. I didn't know how I should be very formal or not. So I wanted to bring the border, actually. It was like all the beautiful colors of Albania and other countries as well. And then, so we start working on the borders and then on the tables that were representing each country, and then it was amazing. Along with representing my country, I got this invitation to moderate the entire event. I do communication. I think I was born with that. So that is something that I really love, to have this contact with people, to have this contact with the camera. So I know how to impose there. So. And I said yes to that right away, and then seeing from up above all the participation there, all the kids, all the curiosity, all the amazing feelings that everyone was exchanging with each other, it was a blast. I was very impressed by your speech, Matt, and by Miss Perrin's speech as well, which is my daughter teacher, and I want to say thank you to her as well. It was very inspiring, and then while they were talking, I was thinking, this is the community I want to be. This is the community I want for my kids, so I'm so lucky. This is my American dream. This is what I was envisioning 14 years ago when I left my country. I was 27. I didn't have kids. I created my family here. But seeing this community which is very inclusive and very accepting, so that made me feel very happy. To me, to conclude it, this event was a ticket, an invitation to invite everyone to travel the world, and then to see how the beauty in each country, how beautiful each country is. So for me, maybe I won't have a chance to travel Thailand, China, or Russia, but I know a part of their culture with the event that we had in Woodville School. Thank you. Do we want to exchange seats?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure, you're welcome.
Good evening, everyone. This is the first time I'm coming here, so I don't know if it's going to be very formal or not. This is my daughter, Elvira. How it came to be, a couple of parents, maybe last year, we started off with an idea at the end, after dismissal, hey, this is something that, are you interested in? I think Kelly sent, Hilaire, Myra came, and I said, absolutely, this is something that I've been dreaming about, but since being a parent, I wasn't sure how are we going to initiate that. And so we started off with a small committee in the summer, and I believe it was maybe 3 to 4 families. We got together. We said maybe we want to get this event done at the like November or after Halloween of the school year. We talked to Mr. Carter, and he was so supportive of it. Then we started talking to PTO to get an idea on how to organize an event, because this is my first event doing it in the school, so did not have much information about it. Then we started recruiting. We started talking to parents at the school dismissal, July 4th parade, Teddy Trot event, any event where our Halloween event, anywhere we were seeing parents, we were asking them, are you interested? Are you interested to share your culture, a little bit of your tradition with the rest of the school community? And the PTO sent out the meeting in the new, I think the link, the Google form link that we had created. We got a lot of interest. People were really interested at the support, and we were not expecting it. By the end of October, we had 20 to 25 families who were really interested to join this, and we had these late night meetings, 8 to 9:30 after putting the kids to bed. With my kid, she was really interested, so she wouldn't go to bed. And she was like my right hand in planning this. Maybe she can say some words. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. You don't? So I can speak on behalf of her. She had prepared a speech, so she helped me. She was born and is born here. She does not go to India that frequently. In this process of creating our board, she learned a lot about India. That if I would say, her knowledge about India has grown tenfold now when she was helping me with this event. One of the other things that we did was this awesome logo that you saw, the We Are Woodville. Emily Eberly, I would like to call her out. A big shout out to her. Amazing logo. Like, this shows all the paws and connects with us. There's a globe over there representing that this community is built with so many different cultures.
And this is actually a picture of them.
Oh, there you are.
So Coel and Elvira on the evening of the event.
Do you want? I think.
So these pictures are very meaningful. I mean, I think what was really sort of magical about the We Are Woodville event, first of all, is the energy that we got when we started to talk about it. In my mind, this really builds on several years of work at the Woodville of really thinking about how can we as a parent community support our school community in making sure that all of our kids feel fully welcome, feel like they can bring their whole selves to school. We've done some work on the library and thinking and making sure that our library is representative of our population. And so when we started to talk to parents about this idea, we got a lot of excitement, and we found some connections between people that we didn't know, or that they didn't know. And so to have it culminate in that, you can see sort of from the event, we had 20 countries represented. We had families sort of signing up and saying, yes, I want to represent a component of my culture. That represented 18 different countries, in addition to a couple states here in the U.S., including my own Vermont. We had about 250 members of our school community choose to join us and then Tuesday evening, which is not an easy thing to do. We had people represent their culture with the boards, like you see. They brought a component of their, like, for example, Coel and Elvira guided people through sort of identifying spices, which were sort of important for their food. Nicholas will talk a little bit about doing a dance. We had people they were sort of learning how to use chopsticks. There was some writing. There was sort of, my kids still have this sort of Chinese fans and learning a little bit about that. There was really fantastic game from Korea, which is similar to hacky sack, but much harder. And so I just think kids, we had a parent sponsor who bought everyone a little passport book, and really the idea was that people who attended the event can come in and really tour the world, but also really get to know more about their colleagues and their students. They get their students in their class, and just sort of have people feel like they can bring their whole selves to our community, and that families also are bringing themselves and sort of supporting our. So it was really a fantastic, I think, opportunity both to leverage and to bring in family voices, and also to highlight this component of our school community, which is ever-changing and really important.
Nicholas, do you want to talk about the live performance?
So, when we did the live performance, I was the oldest. There were 3 different people. So, one was from Haiti, 3 was from Dominican Republic, including me, and I'm from Brazil. So we've been practicing for 4 weeks, I think. So when we got there, we set it up early. But the real thing about the We Are Woodville ceremony is all the states and countries coming together to learn about what they have in their countries or states and about their culture and history.
And you can actually see Nicholas here at the front in the big picture. He's in the red shirt with his hands open. And he really was a leader that evening for the group because it was a lot of younger Woodville students. So I definitely want to compliment Nicholas on his leadership there as a 4th grade student, but also as part of that group. And then also Kelly St. Hilaire, who did a wonderful job kind of guiding that group through the dances. I have a couple more just photos just of the event so you can get a sense. There's the Korean game here in the bottom left corner that Myra was speaking to. So you can see that there. We did a parade of flags over on the side. But we also had some wonderful, not just families necessarily, like actual parents or guardians, but extended family participation as well, which was really nice to see. The little girl here in the front here, Selden, in the purple, she did a wonderful little dance presentation as well, which highlight for me, and we recognize that at our assembly. And again, you can get a sense for all the different things that we did. Like I said, I'm excited for kind of, the next steps in the planning part. I don't know if one of you wants to speak to next steps for us.
So one lesson learned from this event was we did not anticipate that we'll get 250 odd people. We started off thinking that maybe 50, 75 max. But when we saw the entire cafeteria full of people, now we have to go big. We have to get a bigger space. So that's one item that we have on our list for next year. Another item that we wanted to include is that ancestry connections. Like if you are here, maybe your ancestors are from different country, these people can also participate. They can show their culture as well. One common question from parents that we received was how much commitment are they looking for? We were not sure. It wasn't a lot of commitment. It's just a couple of meetings for organizing, but that we have to make it clear to the parents. Mara, did you have anything else?
Well, I think another really nice component was that we worked with our 2nd grade team. As you know, as part of the 2nd grade curriculum is to do a study of heritage, and our 2nd grade teachers help students make a doll, a mock-up of their culture. So they timed that in order to participate in our event. So we were able to sort of bring in all of the 2nd grade voices too. And so we don't have a picture of it, but to see 101 2nd grade sort of markups of their own cultures sort of posted together as a part of this overall celebration was really remarkable. And so a shout out to our 2nd grade teachers who really who sort of added that and worked with us on that. We also had students create flags of their own cultures, or sort of, or how they would capture their cultural identity. And so you can just imagine the Woodville space with 420 flags that students had made in the classes, which was also just tremendous. And so you really start to get a sense of of the diversity and the richness of our Woodville school community.
I would like to add two more things here, very short. So I know it was mentioned before, but it is important to mention one more time. So the feedback we received from people was that they didn't know how to envision this activity, this event. So now that they know, and when I say people from different culture, not necessarily raised and born in America. So they didn't know that, but now that they know how it looks like, so they were so excited. They had the pride to commit for the next year. So we are thinking that they are going to be even for this event. There were 20 countries that participated, but for the next one, for the second one, we are expecting more than that, just because people had that kind of pride to participate and show where they are coming from. And the second part that I want to add is that it's very important for families like myself, where we are bilingual or where we are bicultural. So especially for our kids. Before my kids, Emma, which is in 4th grade, she understands more, but she kind of was embarrassed when her mom does mistakes in English, right? Or when her mom has a kind of accent. She never mentioned, but I could sense that. This activity, I believe, raised in her that kind of self confidence now, that being from a different culture is not something out of universe. It's something that is part of this world, is part of being the beauty of being in America. So this is why I believe it's very important to turn this into a tradition, not just for Woodville, but for the other schools as well, because kids who feels that being from a different culture is something wrong. No, that is not wrong. That is beautiful, and this is the beauty of being in Wakefield community. So thank you.
So hopefully you got a sense for exactly kind of how the evening unfolded. I do want to thank this group here for all their hard work behind the scenes and really kind of inspiring something that we're hoping we can turn over year. I love talking about Woodville, it's no secret, and this is the reason why. We have so many wonderful families, we have so many wonderful students, and we have so many wonderful things happening between those walls each and every day. I know some of you had the chance to come and see that last year. I invite anybody to come by Woodville and see kind of what we're up to, because it's really wonderful. And this is really just one piece of a really big puzzle of our community. So thank you for having us.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I remember, I think you came to another meeting I'll never forget it, you came to a school committee meeting, what are the chances of that happening? And you were just bubbling over with excitement about what this event had been like, so I don't think I really appreciated it until I saw this, and namaste, I spent quite a bit of time in India, and good luck for Argentina too as well. So, but wonderful presentation, this is terrific.
And I'm pretty sure you would like to visit Albania, right?
That was, you took the words right out of my mouth. That was the next thing I was going to say. I would love to.
Mr. Boudreau gets to travel quite a bit. But you stole exactly what I was going to say. If you know Mr. Ingalls, he's often very excited. He finds a lot of things awesome and comes in with just the greatest of attitudes. But when he came in after this, it was a whole nother level. And so the fact that you presented this was so helpful for those of us that got to see Mr. Ingalls come in and talk so glowingly about this. I had mentioned earlier to Brendan that I think we're proud to be from this town. We grew up here, and to hear you talk about this becoming your home and it wanting to be where you want to be kind of gave me goosebumps. This is the kind of community I think we are, but we're certainly striving to be. And it's events like this that help create that sense of belonging, which is so important for families, but particularly for the students, for all the reasons that I think you so eloquently said. So the work that you put in to create something like this that maybe could be a model to become even larger just has so many potential benefits, and so incredibly grateful. I don't know, Nicholas, would you be comfortable with a question if I asked you?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about what was the dance that you did?
So the dance, like the Brazilian one, the Haitian one, or the Dominican one?
You did all three?
Yes.
Wow. Tell us about all of them.
So the Brazilian dance, we did that first. So it was kind of like we walked The girls walked out left. We walked out right. Then we came in. We grabbed each other's hand. We kind of did like, we grabbed their hand, kind of did that.
Wow.
I pulled my sister in, let her out, and then we went on to the Haitian dance. We kind of backed up, kind of doing like that, and then we went in, like clacking our feet together. Then from there, we did like I spreaded my hands. For the Dominican one, it was kind of similar to the Haitian one, but we just moved our shoulders like up and down, kind of like that.
Nice. Awesome. That's great. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
We have hidden talent in our Woodville, including a world-renowned ballroom dancer who also teaches dances of the Caribbean. That would be Kelly St. Hilaire and her husband, Fitz St. Hilaire.
That's awesome.
So this was all about sort of finding those secret talents in our broader community and drawing them in. Mostly volunteer, a little bit of maybe voluntold.
I'm familiar with voluntold.
Call and ask. Right.
I'd be curious, Nicholas Nelvira, if you want to answer it as well. When you went and you saw maybe your friends presenting sort of from their cultures, was there one that you knew less about, that you found out more and you're more excited, and something that you found out about a friend that you didn't know before?
Not a lot, because not a lot of my friends, like, they didn't dance. So when other people were dancing, I kind of knew what they were doing. So when I went around to see, like, all the different stands, I kind of, like, knew about everybody's culture. So the We Are Woodville ceremony, it was about learning people's culture and learning about what they have in their history and what language they speak and where they're from. It's like, in Woodville, we're a big family, kind of.
That's awesome.
And actually, we did put a board in the main entrance where everyone could say friend in their language. So by that, it was a very welcome. So this is what was the message we wanted to deliver, that we are friends with each other, no matter what kind of language we speak, but we are friends. Yeah.
I know it's not on camera, but these were the languages that were represented by the people who
Correct.
That's great.
with our proud Woodville Bears at the bottom.
Matt, could I ask you a question about, so we had, I can't remember his name, Brian was in here talking about sort of things that were going on at Walton. And he was saying that they were having some successes in the SEL space. And so I pushed him sort of what happens at the leadership level when you meet, with the other principals, and what do you share out, and, so he sort of got into that. So I would ask you the same thing. This seems incredibly successful and really driven and absolutely sort of a win for the students, for the community. So when you meet with other leadership and you talk to the other principals, what do you share out? What do you sort of give them the chance to sort of replicate? How do you try and have those successes in our larger community? Presuming you're willing to share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever Doug or Kara texts and says it's important to talk about, that's usually what we share. No. We try to strike the balance, right? We try to strike a good balance between events of this nature that really raise kind of that cultural identity and that sense of belonging. I know right now we are kind of in the midst of thinking about, a science fair, and what that could bring, and how we can include families in that. A lot of our families are involved in that workspace. What kind of neat ideas they could bring to the table for that. So that's like an identity piece for them, and something we definitely want to explore a bit more. We talk a lot about academics, right? So we talk a lot about intervention, right? We talk a lot about, the successes we're having kind of as a school community and any challenges that might come up along the way. But we definitely spend time highlighting things of this nature, right? Things that are going well, things we're excited about, things we're proud of. I in terms of, recent conversations, this is definitely something that I've shared out that was successful for us. And I'm like I said, I couldn't have imagined how well this was going to go. I know when the initial planning started around this, I didn't really know what to expect. I know we started talking, about spaces, and I thought, the cafeteria would be nice, right? Because if it's, a smaller crowd, it would seem more intimate, you know what I mean? It would be a nice setting, people would be able to mingle a little bit. And then when I see 250 people in our cafeteria, I'm like, this is a terrible idea, Matt. Like, what are you doing? So we've got to expand this. We've got to use the gym, right? We've got to create a stage, in that space to create, opportunities for kids to perform. See if we have a few more students that really want to come up and share their talents. That would be wonderful as well. But in terms of our, administrative meetings and stuff, there's definitely a space to talk about projects like this, and a space to talk about successes and any challenges we came across, and really hopefully inspire other schools to do the same. I think this is important. I said it before, if people feel pride in their school, you know what I mean? That's really meaningful. And it's really, I feel like that pride comes through in all these people that spoke here today. And that's something I'm really proud of. That they're able to come here to a space like this and publicly share that, but also think about what the future holds for us. Because I feel like I said this last year, I feel like I'll say it every year, until you stop inviting me to come here. But I feel like we're just getting started, right? Like, I feel like this is just like the tip of the iceberg for us. There's so much room for us to grow and do more. And venturing into this was just a really awesome opportunity for us at Woodville.
That's great. I can say just firsthand, knowing sort of the level of support that you gave to it, it kind of felt like you were sort of whatever you want to do, and sort of opening up that space for a group to come together and just be afraid to or not be afraid to sort of misstep or wherever. They were just going to do what they could do. It was incredibly successful.
It's really easy when the people have fantastic ideas. You know what I mean? It's really easy to keep it on the rails when everything's going right down the middle. So for me, I'm usually there to guide if I feel like there's a question or something is coming off the rails. This was on the rails the whole time. The leadership people that took this project over could have done this with or without me. And I'm really happy they included me, obviously. But they just did a fantastic job, and I was just really happy to be part of it.
It is really easy when people have a great idea, but it is really easy when you have a great support like we had with our principal Matt here. So because since the beginning, when we start to have the conversation for this project, we never came across with things like, oh, we need to talk with Matt, or let's see how the school will accept this or not accept this. So we were so free to express our idea, ourselves, and what we really envisioned this project to be. And then Matt's support and school support was so amazing. And I want to say publicly thank you to you and the entire Woodville for letting us express our idea and having this great event in the school environment. So.
Sometimes a good leader just needs to step out of the way and let them do the job. Well done.
Thank you for coming. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you so much.
Really well done.
Thank you.
Thank you
Wonderful
very,
job.
very much.
Happy holiday season.
You as
Oh,
well.
you too.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you, Vera.
To Matt, to our parents, and to our students that interviewed, I just want to say thank you.
Oh, we lost track of that.
We
left.
He's right
there.
there.
You lost
Over there.
This is Kara's in charge.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Myra. Who's watching the kids? Self-watching.
Friends. They're in the car. No.
Good night.
Thank you so much.
Yep, bye-bye.
Great job,
Thanks,
Nicholas.
Matt, very much.
Bye, thank you so much.
I hope it's not my first time. I enjoyed it.
Oh, yes, come back anytime.
We're just ignoring your live, but.
We're good. It's a free-for-all. No one's here
Last
tonight.
meeting of the year, yeah. Anything goes.
Anything goes tonight.
Right? The boss is on here.
All set to move on?
We are.
Yes.
So next up, we had a question earlier in the fall about the high school competency determination, and the changes that were being proposed back in August and were incorporated in September. So school committee had asked if we could come and have our high school administrators come and talk about the high school competency determination. And I'm welcoming Amy McLeod and David Robinson, Director of Guidance, to the call tonight. They're on Zoom, so they'll be Zooming in. Amy?
I forgot I had to unmute. It's back to Zoom days again.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. How are you doing tonight? I just want to say before I start, Mike Boudreau, I am sitting in front of the infamous window that you pointed out when I saw you this week.
There are no ambulances in the background this time.
Fingers crossed that
Well,
everything goes well, but
the
you
night's
never
young,
know.
Amy.
So,
It could still
yeah.
happen. Could you
I
pull
wanted
the
to
shade
keep you
up
on
a
your
little
toes,
more
Mike.
so we can see out there?
I know. I noticed I changed my angle just for you, just so it's not too bad. So I won't get distracted. No, but seriously. So yeah. So Dave Robinson and I are going to talk through this a little bit tonight. Geraldine Traficante was not able to join tonight, so she is sorry that she couldn't be here. I will say she has a big role at the high school around MCAS. So Dave and I are kind of just pitching in for her, but she is the one who kind of spearheads the MCAS piece of this, which is a big part of the competency determination. So I don't know, Kara, are the slides up or?
They are, Amy. I'll switch for you.
The clicker.
Thank you. So Kara, if you go to the first slide, what we talk about when we talk about competency determination is how we figure out what students need in order to graduate in addition to their coursework. So Dave Robinson and the guidance counselors are in charge of their caseloads to make sure that kids have the correct coursework that meet our graduation requirements to graduate. In addition to that, there are the state-determined competency pieces that every student needs. And so essentially, what we're talking about for we'll go grade by grade. I'm going to have Dave do that for us tonight. But we're talking about passing scores on 3 MCAS. That's the grade 10 ELA MCAS, the grade 10 math test, and then a science and technology or engineering test. So there's a little choice and option with science and technology. Students have multiple attempts at these tests. So it's not a one-shot test. At the high school, most students take the science, technology, the biology in 9th grade. And then they take math and English in 10th grade. But then they have more chances, as you'll see at the bottom of the slide. If they don't pass the first time with the cut scores that Dave's going to talk about in the next slides, there are retakes. There are retake periods twice a year. So if a student doesn't pass the first time, they have upwards of 6 more times, depending on the content test, to retake the MCAS. Sometimes there's actually a few more because you can take biology 1 more time. But there's another option. If students don't meet the minimum cut scores, which we'll talk about in the subsequent slides, they can still graduate. They can complete an educational proficiency plan, or we call it an EPP. And the EPP has been around since the MCAS has been around. That they have to complete a certain amount of coursework. We have to make sure that we support them through that coursework, that it's documented through their transcripts. And that they also attain a certain minimum MCAS score, which is lower than the other passing score in the first bullet. What's important to know, in either one of these areas, students still attain regular graduation. There used to be 2 levels of diplomas back in the day in different states. The MCAS and the EPP has done away with that. As long as students either get those passing scores or they do this EPP plan, they can and they do coursework. That is how competency is determined. So I'm going to kick it over to Dave to talk about how that's changed a little bit.
Right. Before I start, I feel like I lost a bet somewhere along the line on this agenda here. We get winning Super Bowl, inspiring stories from amazing families, and I get competency determination for MCAS. Okay, all right. We'll do this. This is exciting somehow.
Building up the drama, Dave. Up the drama.
Oh, we can make this. Yeah, let's see. So thanks for having me. We're gonna go over. I don't see the main screen with the slide. Is that up for everybody to see
Dave,
the
it's the
chart?
class of 2023 slide. Is that
Perfect.
the one you want?
Yep, right there. Exactly. Thank you. So as Amy mentioned, there are 3 subjects: English, math, and science. And the reason why this is all in the news in the first place is that there were benchmark scores for a while, and just in August, the state has adjusted those depending on which cohort and which class the students are in. So we just want to go over briefly one grade at a time, and then there's a really nice slide coming up that kind of just has a column for each grade level. That way you can kind of get a sense of what's changing and when. So this is our current senior class, the grade 12 cohort. So for English, you could see option 1. Option 1 is basically just passing the test. So if they get a 472 or higher, they passed, they're done. Option 2, proficiency plan, EPP. If they didn't quite get the 472, but they get 455 to 471, then that plus a couple of required courses also meets competency determination. All right. So, and for English, for example, what that means is a student has to pass English in their 11th grade and their 12th grade. And I think we mentioned this a second ago. If not, our graduation requirements require 4 years of English. So simply by meeting our own high school's graduation requirement, they're meeting the needs of the EPP. Okay, if that makes sense. So now if we move down to math, you can see the scores is 486. And then again, if they don't make the 486, but they get in that range right below that and pass the math courses, grade 11 and grade 12, that's the other way of reaching the competency determination. And this for science this year, it's 220, but also because of COVID, basically another option was they completed a course in the science area. So that's very unique. You'll see that's not there after this year because that was just COVID started during the 9th grade of this year's graduating class. So what you're going to see, if we can go to the next slide. Thank you. The scores are identical for both the English and math. So this change is basically after these next 3 years. It's for this current freshman class and on that we're really looking at the key. So 10 and 11 cohorts have the same requirements for English and math. As you can see, the science, that option went away, option 2, because that was the whole COVID year exception there. The 220, they've changed the scoring of these tests. So 220 was kind of the benchmark for a long, long time. Now they have what's called next generation bio. So it's just a different scale. So that equivalent is 467. So from now on, you're going to see 467 for science. Does that make sense? Okay. Thank you. And so this is where it starts to get a little different. Still not that much, but it does change. So for English, the score requirement goes up to 486. This is for the classes of 26 through 30. The requirements for the EPP score bumps up a little bit, and you're going to see in the next couple slides in a second that you can kind of just see them compared, so you can see the difference. Math is 486, which is the same as it is now, so that actually does not change. It's the EPP requirements that adjusts by a point. You'll see that in a second. And then the science is 470 or higher as well. So if we go to and beyond, we can go further. Right now, they're going to bump that one up to 500 or high English, and the science stays at 470. As I'm going through these, I think it's probably easiest just to go to the slide all at once. Thank you. So this is just for English, and each column is the different grade levels. I think that helps see it a little better. So for English alone, this year's seniors need a 472. The grade 10 and 11 cohort right now, they need a 472. And then the classes of 2026 through 2030, it goes up to 486. And then from 2031 and beyond, 500. So that gives you kind of a time frame of what changes and how much it changes.
Dave, could I mention one thing about these scores while we're on this slide? I think it's important to understand that these are scaled scores, so they're relative to every other student taking the test. The top score in MCAS just like with the SAT, is based on the kid, the student who does the best in the test, right? And so if it is a difficult test year, we see that sometimes the scale, the final scores, thank you, fluctuate accordingly. I think that's one thing important to note. I think the second important thing to note on this slide that Dave is just showing here is that we have the trajectory. Teachers know that trajectory. Department leaders know that trajectory in math, in science, and in English. So we know that moving forward, we are able to look at what are some of the challenges that our students have had with the MCAS tests in the past, where our skills, our students' skills are most challenged, and need to kind of work on those things moving forward in order to raise all test scores in those areas. And so I think having this trajectory out through 2030 on that scope of that incremental change. And Dave's going to show you the next two and how that looks in the other content areas.
So we go to the next one that has math.
Yep.
Sorry, it's on my screen. Let me just pull it up on the screen here. All right, right here. Okay, so in math, you can see it's 486 or higher right straight through all the way until the class of 31. Sounds hard to say class of 31. But yeah, so up until then, it stays the same at 486, and then that's when it bumps up to 500. And you can see the EPP requirements. Again, they're really not that much of a change, but it goes from 469 up to 470. So it's very minimal change to meet the EPP requirements if the student does not pass. So that would be the math. Move on to science. Again, I guess see that we scored it in the past. That's no longer going to, now it's called the next generation. And so that equivalent is 467, and then it goes up to 470. So I know it's a lot of numbers, but I hope that kind of explains everything. I just do want to point out that all of our students, we don't have any students that are not graduating because of MCAS, right? You know, important to point out, and it's only my 4th year here, but we haven't had students not be able to graduate. This hasn't stopped any of our students, which I think is something that's key to point out as we're moving along.
Agreed, Dave, and I think that that's what this, we'll talk about that a little bit more in this last slide. So Kara, could you go up before I talk about preparing for the change? I want to look at the current 12th grade class if we could. Are we able to go back to that slide? So what Dave was just saying is really important. So I've only been here 1 more year than Dave, but we talked to Geraldine about this afternoon. In her time, I think she's been overseeing MCAS at the high school for years. We have not had a student at Wakefield High not graduate solely because of MCAS. We have had students at Wakefield High not finish on time because of coursework and credits, but not because of MCAS scores. So looking at this grade 12 cohort right now, I know that looking at our current seniors, I think we have one student who has not been at Wakefield High School their entire time, who has not completed English. We have one student who also hasn't had multiple opportunities to take it because they haven't been at Wakefield High for bio. And I believe one other student at this point, I think math were all at 12th grade. MCAS is not the deterrent. We know, so going back to the last slide, we know that with the increase in score, it is going to be one that we are going to have to use those multiple opportunities each year for more students potentially to take the test. So right now where we have anywhere maybe from 6 to 12 students taking retests because they didn't get the passing score the first time, that may increase a little bit. We may have more like 12 to 20 kids needing to take that test a couple of times, needing preparation. So that's one of the things that we're thinking about. Multiple opportunities for students to have additional prep. We have offered MCAS prep in all content, on the 3 content areas for students who have struggled with the test. We have offered MCAS prep prior to tests for students who have early warning indicators that they are going to be challenged by that test. We are also offering preparation, not teaching to the test necessarily, but skills and standards are aligned with the test. And then in addition, teachers in English, math, and biology in those courses are doing preparation for the exam prior to the exam, so students know what to look for, they know what to expect on the test, and therefore they're better prepared. I think the other thing to note is important is that our program of studies, we're kind of ahead of the game. Not all schools in Massachusetts have the Mass Core requirement that Dave talked about. So there are some schools that don't have the 4 years of ELA, math, and science courses, lab courses, that make all of our students eligible for EPPs. So right now, all of our students, based on graduation requirements, are eligible for the EPP if they need it. So that puts us ahead of a lot of other schools, which I think is great. The last piece that I put on this slide, that we put on this slide that I think is important, is that we're really thinking about how we're scheduling kids after freshman or sophomore year if they have struggled with the MCAS. So one example is we have a math skills class right now which supports freshmen and sophomores who we know are coming in with lower skill levels. We're using that now for upper level students as well. So if there was a student who needed extra support for, say, they didn't pass at MCAS after geometry and they were struggling with Algebra 2, and they would need to take the MCAS again, we would be able to use something like a math support class. So those are the kinds of examples of courses that we're building in to offer additional support. So I think that's it. Dave, is there anything else that we want to add before we take questions?
I think that pretty much covers what we had.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Mike?
Yeah, and thank you both very much. That was really helpful to hear the comment about the fact that no students have been affected by the MCAS. That was a question I asked a while ago, and Doug at the time said it wouldn't have had an impact, so it's nice to hear that again. The biggest uptick seems to be 2031 and beyond. So, everybody's concern is learning loss and how that's going to affect these kids. And certainly that gives a bit of time to, minimize or eliminate that learning loss gap that may have occurred because of COVID. So I think it's all good. Obviously, things have to be done. You're doing a great job from all I can see in trying to get the kids prepared. It's not a bad idea to push, for better. So I don't think that's a bad thing either, ultimately, as long as it's reasonable.
Right.
Thanks, Amy.
And Mike, in the comment about the learning loss, I think, I think that's the benefit of having 5 to 12 coordinators who are able to see the trajectory of the curriculum and how we're supporting kids, because they know what the outcomes are, right? And they know where we want to get students by the time we need to get them to graduation. So thinking of building back from there, I know I've had some conversations already with Margaret, and Lindsay and Joanne, where we're thinking about, okay, so if we know this is where we need students to be, and that scale is increasing every year, then we really need to be looking back and seeing how well our kids are doing on prior MCAS exams, what are the areas where students need more support and growth, and kind of build on that.
Great, thank you.
Kevin?
Can you move 2 slides back, or a few slides back? That's great.
That one, the math.
Yeah, that's fine. So, hypothetical situation. Let's say you're a sophomore and you take the math MCAS, and let's say you get a 475, right? So you're in that option 2 zone. At that point, is the plan to keep test junior year, or would the plan be they've hit that, they're in that zone in option 2, and they're going to meet the educational proficiency plan? I guess my question is, are we still planning to have them retest junior year and senior year until? Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
The option 2 is the fallback. That's the default. That's why
Okay.
kids don't not graduate, right? So that's the catch. And so the idea for schools is to, number one, analyze kids' strengths and challenges on the test. That's what we have our teachers do. That's why we share scores with all of our teachers. They can kind of look at strengths and challenges of the students. They actually get the breakdown of the test and where the skill and strategy areas are that students struggle. And then students it's a great question. Students would then have two, I think I'm saying this right, two opportunities in
Yeah.
junior year and two opportunities in senior year.
Yeah.
If they didn't, and at that point, as long as they made the are we talking about 12th grade right now? 469.
Yeah.
Actually, it's 469 for a while, but then that would be the default. So yeah, we would continue to retest.
Yeah, the reason why I ask is I could just see, looking at this chart, that if you had a student, you know, a son or daughter who had like a 480 as a sophomore, basically be like, oh, my kid's going to graduate anyway. Why do they have to worry about the MCAS next year? So I just want to clarify, make sure that the plan would be for all those students to retest the following year. Okay.
Right.
Just
Option
clarifying.
two is like the catch-all, and really with an EPP, there has to be an understanding, and usually that's being tracked with Geraldine in support with Dave and the counselors to make sure that there's really been an analysis of that student, and there's an understanding that we are supporting them to take the retest, not just having them retest every year, just to take it again, but have we provided supports? Are there additional courses that they could take that would help them prepare better? And then if it's still not working, then at least that fallback could be like, okay, we have evidence that they've tried the test multiple times, but that they've reached that baseline score so that graduation is not impacted for them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Stephen?
Yeah, Amy, I'm curious about, so I think I don't know enough about the EPP, the proficiency plan. Is that something that's specific to individual students, or is it something across the district that as long as you meet sort of a credit in a subject area, that's the plan, is that you have X amount of credits per subject?
No, the plan is the number of courses, and then it's that they are specific courses, like they are the specific courses for graduation. So for English and math, it's the number of years of mathematics, which is correlated with, as Dave said, the Mass Core, which is what our graduation requirements meet. So the Mass Core is what DESE doesn't require, DESE suggests that high schools require for graduation. We meet that in Wakefield. And then for science, it's lab sciences.
So effectively, the plan is that every student that comes through the district is meeting the EPP, and then we're catching ones that might be a step behind on the score, possibly.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
And really, I know that EPP has just come up now because of these new scores, and now kind of people are talking about it, but it's always been there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's something that, and again, Dave and I come from spending a lot of time in an urban district where we spent a lot of time talking about EPPs because there were just a greater number of students who were following an EPP plan in order to graduate. There used to be an alternative test as well for EPPs, which they've gotten rid of. And again, as schools aligned with the Mass Core, it became easier to track students and give them that second chance. And so the thinking is, and Kevin, I think this is what you were getting to, like if you are saying your graduation requirements are rigorous and they meet the Mass Core, and your courses are rigorous because they're preparing kids for graduation, then we don't want to focus on MCAS as the be-all, end-all hurdle, right? So as long as you have a passing score, I love that Dave's dog is crawling into the screen, sorry. As long as you have that passing score.
PTSD.
Yeah. As long as you have that passing score, then, then you're covered. I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. I think
Okay.
I just wasn't sure if it was something that we were doing for individual students or if it was across the district, and that was clarified. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and there's a conversation about that, right? It's that several years ago, I think more than 10 years ago, maybe more than 12 years ago, you used to write EPP plans. There's not a need to write the plans anymore. You just need to make sure that the students are getting support, that there's not a skill gap, right? Because if there was a student who was really struggling, you would want to say, is there a skill gap? Do we need to test the student? Is there something else going on? Right? Are they making progress toward graduation? And then thirdly, are they making progress in their academic courses? And so again, Geraldine, in collaboration with Dave and the guidance counselors, are making sure that that's getting done.
Great. And then just a final question is, for science, why does option 2 fall off? So it seems like this will be the last year that has an option two successful completion of a relevant course, and then there is no option two from,
Yeah, they haven't had an EPP for science, and I think the only reason why there was anything for option two again was COVID. That was the year that they didn't test because it was June of 2020. So they had to figure out a different way for students to technically meet that. So it's never really been an option two if we hadn't had COVID.
Okay.
Why that's the case, I'm not sure.
It's, yeah, I don't know the reason why. I can dig into that and try to find out, but it never was an option. And then it was weird when this option came on with COVID and then they took it away again. So I don't really know. Again, it could be because there's not a 4-year requirement for science. That could be a possibility. Science only has a 3-year requirement. I don't know if that's part of the reason for DESE, but I don't really know the full story behind that.
I don't know if it's worth digging, it's just my own personal curiosity.
Well, it makes it more challenging, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so that's the one area that it does make it more challenging for students.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now I'm curious, so I might do some.
So I have a comment. When we were going through the presentation, I had to look up the scale for MCAS because when you look at 486, I don't have them memorized. So most of these requirements fall in the partially meeting expectations right now. And then it looks like it jumps to, in the 2031, you actually have to be in the, actually, no, not meeting expectations yet, but it is a big jump. Oh, that's science, sorry. You do jump to the meeting expectations category. And when the curriculum coordinators came out and gave us a general overview, we do have a percentage of students in the not meeting expectations. So I was surprised to hear it's only 1. I don't know what makes up that population, but speaking as a special education parent, what kind of accommodations are made if your child just never gets to partially meeting expectations?
So what I said is that we only have 1 by the time they get to graduation.
Okay.
I didn't remember I said that in a retake period, we may have anywhere from 6 to 12 students who are retaking.
Okay.
So those partially meeting students, if they're not making the score that's listed for the baseline score for MCAS, we are giving them a retake. And so that was the first part of your question. The second part of your question is if there's a special education student who isn't meeting this.
Yeah, if there's special education students that just intellectually or developmentally can never get to the partially meeting expectations category, what do we do with those students?
Right, so I think that would be a team decision around how do we support a student like that? And how do we support a student to get to graduation? Are there enough supports built into their plan? Are there additional either academic supports that we can provide in addition to coursework, or is it something with the coursework? Those requirements stand, and then there's also an alternative portfolio that for special education students can be run through. That's a little bit more complicated. I would need Geraldine or Mary Beth Ebert to speak to that, but we have had cases where we have to do a portfolio review for some students. And basically what it is, it's a comparison of success in coursework over 4 years compared to a student who has taken similar courses. So we have had very few of those. But in that situation, that's what would happen, so that there really is another avenue to graduation that's not really publicized as competency determination. Competency determination speaks for all students. Students who would need to graduate by a portfolio would be through special education. So that's sort of a different avenue.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is the third
And
one
again, that would be I just wanted to say that would be picked up by the team, right? The special education team and the liaison would sort of pitch in with that.
So, sorry, Amy, that third option, is that when you have to actually get special permission or petition the states, or is that just structurally already set up?
It's structurally already set up.
Okay, great, thank you.
I don't have anything else. Does anyone else? No. Thank you very much. This is helpful.
Very helpful. Thank you very much, both of you.
You're welcome. The next time we're coming with a more exciting presentation. Well, Amy and Dave, do you want to just Doug, are you there? I can't see anyone. Doug, I know that you wanted to just highlight the NIAS visit. I figure who better if we have Amy and Dave here to give a little highlight before we let them
That's
go.
a great point. Can you talk a little bit about that, Abe?
Sure. We had the NIASC, we had our collaborative conference visit. So I think you're all pretty familiar with the process, but just a quick snapshot is NIASC comes out after the self-reflection. So the high school spent a year in self-reflection last year, looking at the 5 different standards, the NIASC standards, evaluating ourselves on those standards and gathering evidence and writing a narrative about how the school did in each one of those standards. We take that report, we give it to NIASC, and then they send out a visiting team comprised of educators from other schools. So we had a principal, an assistant principal, a librarian, and a few teachers who came out to visit Thursday and Friday, and they were from all over New England. So I think the visit went really well. They visited classrooms, they got tours of the building from students, they talked to students, parents, teachers, administrators. They talked to somebody on school committee. They talked to central administration, student support staff, special education staff. I mean, they really, and they got into as many classrooms as they could over 2 days. And so Friday afternoon, when the visit was done and we were all exhausted, we got to sit in the library with them and just get some oral feedback from them on how the visit went. And the feedback was really positive. It was great to hear about a number of pieces that they thought the high school was doing really well. They certainly commended our teachers for a number of things. I think one of the biggest things that stood out to us that I thought was so great to hear is that the relationships that our students have with teachers and how students feel supported and known by their teachers. Students reported having trusted adults in the building, and I know that's something that we've spent a lot of time talking about as a district and as a school. They saw a lot of different innovative things happening in classrooms. They commented on how many classrooms had student presentations and student engaged work. They talked about how well we're doing with the facility that we have, and what a great job our custodial staff is doing with the facility that we have. But they, again, did comment on it was pretty clear that our work with the MSBA process, which they're also pleased that we're making the progress with the MSBA process. They thought that was, there was still a clear need for that, and they were happy that we were moving along. So I think it went well. And our culinary students fed them 2 days too, so that helped a lot. So they loved our culinary program, which was great. We will have a report from NIASC probably in 2 months. And at that point, it'll be a public report. So it will take a few months for them to get that together. But yeah, that's to come. So it was great.
If I can add, I was a school committee member.
That's
And I found it, thank you for that. So I found it very interesting. They're going through the same problems, and Amy's right. They were from Vermont, all the New England states, and they're going through the same problems we're going through, learning loss, kind of trying to recover from COVID. And they broke us into 2 groups, so I had 3 other parents with me, so as a former parent of a high school person. And what really was very profound for me is that all 3 of the parents had said that they had gone through some sort of challenging situation with their child, whether on an IEP or something out, and the schools who could not have been more helpful to their children and responsive and supportive, as Amy said. And I thought, sometimes just being supportive makes a world of difference in the child's life and, quite honestly, the parent's life too, as well. So all 3 of them had almost identical stories, and I had one too. So it was really nice to hear that common theme from the parents, for what it's worth.
That's great. And I would just echo back that was another thing that they said, Mike, is that the community had a ton of support. for the school. And that was really evident through the parent participation and even the surveys, because they do take a look at some of the surveys that we had given last year that a lot of people participated in. And they just kept commenting on how there was such pride in the school and how they could feel that pride from students, faculty, parents, and community. And so I think that was reciprocal, Mike, so that's great.
Yeah, it was very well done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Welcome. Good night.
Good night.
Take care, guys.
There are just a few other updates. On Thursday, this coming Thursday, we will have a community forum at the high school in the cafeteria, starting at 7 p.m. We will be giving tours of the high school before that event and after that event. And for those personnel or members of the community that were unable to make the last forum. So if you're able to come, we would love to have you. We're going to be talking about, again, the high school process and where we are in the process. Steve Mayo will also be joining us. This forum, different than last. So Steve will be joining us to talk about the financial aspects and the tax aspects of the new high school project. And so on December 21st, MSBA will also be voting on our schematic design. And they will also be looking at amending the funding formula, which we think will add additional funds on the Wakefield project. So more to follow on that, but that is an update there. With the exception of that, that is it for us or me this evening. Again, sorry I can't be with you in studio. I have a little bit of a cold, but I'd like to wish everybody a happy holidays.
Thank you. You too. Subcommittee reports, finance and facilities. Mr. Boudreau.
Yeah, so Christine talked a little bit about our last meeting, which was focused on having some people from the finance committee, the three of us and our subcommittee as well involved, and Doug and Christine kind of going through the process, asking questions about capital, things of that sort. So it really was sort of an introductory meeting, of which there will be many to follow, as Christine had said, some which will involve this full school committee, some will be subcommittee, some might be cross committees, but it was a really good start. So looking forward to, after the beginning of the year, after everybody enjoys their holidays, hopefully getting into that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Labor and personnel. Tom isn't here. Does anyone have an update? I don't.
I could talk a little bit.
Okay.
So we met as a committee. One thing that sort of came out, we met with Rosie Galvin, and we were talking a little bit about some challenges that we were having at the elementary level around sort of behavioral supports. And so sort of a thoughtful sort of idea that came out from Rosie's group was to try and assemble an in-district sort of mobile team to address some of those challenges with both training and planning purposes, training for teachers and planning for sort of students to sort of help them in their home schools instead of having to sort of find a place in district where maybe those services are currently provided. Could we do more in their schools? A really innovative sort of approach. Christine helped a lot with sort of making this potentially a budget neutral thing, which is great. So that was great. Aside from that, we sort of just continued to talk about negotiations that will be happening with Unit A.
Thank you. Student services. That's me. We met on Monday, December 5th. It was a quick conversation. We just talked a little more about the survey. Good news. We're including all grades except for pre-K in the survey. So we'll collect all the data and see where we land. The survey won't go out till January, so we didn't foresee a need to meet until we have survey data to analyze. So we're meeting on Monday, January 23rd. So I'll remind everyone again. Policy and communication. Oh, you again.
I know. We have not met since our last meeting. We've had some scheduling challenges. So we'll get another meeting on the books and meet towards our goals and probably get back to reviewing our policy book that is in the hands of the MASC.
Since you're on a roll, liaison reports, do you have anything for
Shucks, sure
CPAC?
do. So met with CPAC again. It's just, you know, they're just a great group of people to talk to. But is often the case in sort of that volunteer space. I think they're having challenges engaging parents to come in, sort of not knowing what the commitment level is, not maybe necessarily recognizing special needs is a spectrum. You can be anywhere. It is such a broad sort of rainbow of needs and challenges that I feel like some people only focus on maybe the heaviest demands of that spectrum. They don't realize that that community is so large and so welcoming. And I think maybe they're shy to sort of approach a space like perhaps the CPAC. So if I had one thing to say, I would say sort of, if you find yourself in any part of that, you know, with an IEP or just sort of some challenges around how to navigate the district's resources and wanting some partnership in that space, absolutely reach out to the CPAC. They would love to sort of grow their community and have more involvement in the parent space. It's a great conversation. There's great people there. So it would just be a win for all involved.
I agree. Thank you. You have a
And
liaison?
I just want to add on the Public Building Committee, a couple of more dates that Doug didn't mention because they're into next year, but the special town meeting will be on January 28th, and the ballot election will be on March 11th, so it's very important that everybody gets out there and attends and votes.
Well, and Doug didn't mention, is the forum also going to be virtual on Zoom? Can you attend?
I don't recall, Doug, do you remember if they mentioned it?
Yes. So there'll be a virtual link.
Great. And then one point about the...
And it will be recorded.
Perfect. I'm anxious to hear, Steve.
Yeah.
And then to your point about the 28th, that doesn't get solidified until the town council
That's right.
votes on it.
You're right.
So I would
You're
just-
right. Thank you.
I would,
Yep.
We're not
Yep.
stepping on their toes.
Any other liaison reports?
Good catch.
Okay,
I'm just saying, there was a environmental sustainability committee meeting on Thursday, but I was not there because I was
You don't
traveling.
have to, you
So
don't
I
have to share those.
I don't, I'm not sharing out because I haven't gotten the notes for it yet, but.
Okay, our next school committee meeting will be next year, Tuesday, January 10th, actually, there's a little typo here. 2023 at 7:30. Now we move to the comment section. Does anyone have a closing comment? We'll start over here.
Just real briefly, just want to wish everyone a happy holidays and Merry Christmas for those that celebrate, Happy Hanukkah, etc. I think it's been a really good year. You know, challenging year certainly, but as we kind of make sense of what's passed, just really appreciative of all the hard work from all of you. It's been great being able to serve with all of you, and then certainly our teachers, our staff, our senior leaders as well. And I hope you all are able to take advantage of a break, well-deserved break, as we head into 2023. But just want to wish everyone well and enjoy the holidays.
Thank you. Hey, does anyone want to follow that up?
I would say ditto with Kevin. Happy holidays to everybody, educators, students, everyone really that's part of our community. I wanted to just mention we were able to attend the Jolly Jingle that the Music Boosters put on. Always a great thing. I don't know how Christine sprung and paid for the snow. But that was awesome. Hopefully that was also budget neutral. And Tom Bankert and crew, just a phenomenal job. WCAT was there. It really took all parts of the community, and everyone was out with smiles on. Those kids are something else. My sister came, who is she's a little bit older than I. She's a chorus person, madrigal, and I swear she was like 16 again. Just so she could see, like, she wishes she had a Jolly Jingle when she was in high school. And it was awesome. It's just something else to hear, like, a whole train full of kids just scream Santa in unison. It's wonderful. So great job. Thank you for all the work that goes into that. It was fantastic. So
I was into it. I couldn't echo words any better than you. I never can, so I don't know why I even bother trying. But I also just wanted to wish all the folks behind the camera a happy holiday. You never see them. We should do something like you do with sports. At the end, they show everybody behind the camera. We'll do that next time. But thanks to everybody that does so much for the community.
Yep. Judy? No? I don't have any closing comments. Thank you, everyone, for your thoughtful comments. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
We do. Move that the school committee adjourn its meeting of Tuesday, December 13th, 2022.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? No? All in favor? All opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Happy holidays,
Good night.
everybody. Doug, hope you're feeling better.
Yeah.
You too, Christine.
Oh.
Thank you.